Hey guys, you're in a nutshell with me, Ina. Mainit na usapin ngayon sa Canada ang issue ng Bill C-2 o yung tinatawag na Border Security Bill. Nung unang lumabas to guys, it was presented as a bill obviously to protect the Canadian border. Yan, yung issue na naman ng drugs, etc. Pero ngayon, na makalipas ang ilang araw, iba't ibang issue na ang pinupuna patungkol dito. Now, we're gonna be dividing the discussion into 2 episodes. Okay? Una, pag-uusapan natin ang sinasabing parang sobrang kapangyarihan na mapupunta sa IRCC patungkol sa kanilang authority to cancel halimbawa applications, cancel documents, and other things, no? Pangalawa naman po, pag-uusapan natin in the second episode, how it affects the refugee program. Okay? Nako, sige, himayin natin yan, no? With immigration lawyer Lou Jansen Tangsalan. Hello, Lou. Medyo, sige, let's keep it simple, Lou, para maintindihan nila na mabuti. Ano ba tong Border Security Bill?
Yes.
Unahin natin yung sa issue ng the powers that will be given sa IRCC sakaling talagang maging ganap na batas itong Bill C-2, Luno. Anong may concerns ka ba about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of lawyers, we've raised alarm bells about how draconian this proposed measure is. Maraming powers na vininvest sa IRCC, pati na rin sa CBSA, iba't ibang government agencies including the RCMP, Fisheries Canada, Oceans Canada. Basically, it touches so many legislation. C2 is essentially amending a lot of laws in Canada. Kasama na dyan yung Immigration Refugee Protection Act, kasama dyan yung Citizenship Act, kasama yung Customs Act, at iba't iba pa. Nabanggit mo nga, we're talking about 2 things and split into 2 episodes. The first one is immigration, the second one is refugee. So, from an immigration perspective, nabanggit mo nga rin kanina that they would have the ability to cancel programs. For example, iba pang pwedeng gawin nila is they can pause the acceptance of new applications for particular programs. And even sometimes they can cancel the processing of applications already in the inventory. So imagine mo, naghihintay ka, kunwari, PR application sa isang PNP program. Tapos nag-decide sa Canada, ayoko na. So yung implications niya, di ba, masyadong mabigat. Lalo na kung na-invest mo na yung buhay at pati yung financials ng buong family.
I will show you. Sorry guys pinakita ko kanina yung copy ng Bill C-2. O ito na, I'm ready. Yung binabanggit ni Lou na authority to cancel, etc. Basahin lang natin quickly, no? Ito yan. Isa sa mga amendments nila sa Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. Okay. Authorize the governor and council to make an order to cancel, suspend, or vary certain documents issued under the Act, or to impose or vary conditions when the governor and council is of the opinion that it is in the public interest to do so. Okay, ano pa ba? To authorize the governor and council to make regulations prescribing circumstances in which a document issued can be cancelled, suspended, or varied, and in which officers may terminate the processing of certain applications made under the Act. Simply put, Lou, parang hindi, una sa lahat, hindi pa ba to nangyayari ngayon? Wala bang kapangyarihan ang isang IRCC officer to immediately cancel a status? So let's say, kunyari, PR ka na dito or you have a travel visa, etc.
Excellent question. So sa PR, ibang story yan. So park muna natin siya. But essentially, kapag may PR cancellation, you have to go to the immigration division of the IRB, for example. But I believe what they're talking about here are permits and visas, not necessarily for PR. So in this particular scenario, kasi may mga prescribed circumstances lang na pwedeng i-cancel or automatically nagka-cancel ang permits. For example, study permits, naka-prescribe sa regulations na a study permit becomes invalid 90 days after the completion of studies, or if another scenario, a student is not now de-enrolled, for example, in a DLI, for example. So may mga particularized circumstances na nakasulat sa regulations. Kasi yung regulations, yung authority na niya nanggagaling sa legislation nga. Itong legislation na to na proposed as binibigay na ngayon ang kapangyarihan sa governor and council. Ano ba yan? Iniisip natin. So, kung galing tayo sa Pilipinas, babalikan natin ng CBK natin or HECASI. Yung governor and council orders, ito yung equivalent nito is yung executive orders from the president sa Pilipinas. Ang executive order is basically nakasaklaw sa business ng executive branch. Except meron, kasi nga ang Canada parliamentary system, hindi siya separate branches kasi completely, ang executive tsaka ang legislature. Diba? Meron tinatawag ng mga political scientists yung near fusion of powers. So, in other words, itong legislature, Parliament of Canada, can delegate some of its powers to the governor and council and create sub-legislation. Kumbaga may order, ano yan, may hierarchy of ano yan norms yan Tapos yung regulations ngayon, pwede na nilang baguhin na pwede na silang mag-subscribe, prescribe at magbigay ng enumerated grounds kung saan nakaka-cancel ang mga permits. So, halimbawa, gusto nilang bigyan ng power yung IRCC officer na, halimbawa si Ina, nagre-renew ng kanyang study permit ahead of time kasi, masigasig siya, diba? Valid pa for 1 more year. Tapos na-discover nila in the processing of your renewal na merong problema doon sa study permit mo, hindi ka compliant. Baka ginawa nila, dinagagan nila ng ground na dahil hindi ka compliant, pwedeng i-cancel yung existing study permit mo. So, hindi lang refusal ang hinaharap mo, kundi pati cancellation ng existing visa mo, even if on its face it still says valid. So, ito yung mga dagdag powers.
Yeah, and you mentioned to me earlier, bago tayo mag-record, one possible na mangyayari dito, mas mabilis mag-cancela ng mga existing pathways or programs. Tama ba yun?
Right. Yeah, yun sa proposed measures nga, sabi nila, some programs can be suspended or can be canceled altogether. Kahit na yung application mo ay nandun na sa inventaryo. So sabihin natin, magbukas sila ng special pathway for caregivers. Tapos nakasubmit ka na. So kompleto na, kampante ka na. Diba? Tapos in the middle of processing, dahil alam natin matagal doon, maybe 1.5 years later, biglang nag-decide sa government, ayoko na. So ano mangyayari doon sa application? Itong proposed measure na to, sinasabi, pwedeng i-cancel pati yung mga applications na nandun na sa inventaryo. So, papasok tayo sa question ngayon ng fairness, Ina. Diba?
Isa rin sa mga napanood kong, kumbaga, criticisms about this is it would make deportations, the issuance of removal orders, very quick. Kumbaga, mabilis na silang maaaring makapagpaalis.
Perhaps, yes. Kasi, yung removal deportation kasi is, it's a separate issue altogether and may levels siya. Yun yung kailangan nating tandaan. So yung mga nakaranas na unfortunately dyan ng permit refused from inside Canada, paminsan yung refusal letter may sinasabi, you must leave Canada immediately because you have no status. Diba? So that's not a removal order, that's not deportation. Yun yung level 1 pa lang yan. You are asked to leave. Diba? Tapos kung hindi ka nag-comply, tapos you get into the radar of the enforcement agency, kasi yung letter of refusal, manggagaling yan sa IRCC, di ba? Tandaan natin, separate yan na ahensya ang IRCC from CBSA. Si IRCC sa mga application, si CBSA sa enforcement. So, for some reason, napasok ka sa radar ng CBSA, for example. So, nakita ka nila, wala siyang status. Pwede ka na nilang bigyan ng removal order. Papunta ka na doon. Tapos, ang pinakamataas dyan nga, yung removal na nga is, pwede kang maaresto. May Canada-wide warrant ito. Kung ikay hindi mahanap, for example. Pwede silang makakuha ng warrant of arrest.
Yeah. And pala naalala ko, dun sa nabanggit natin kanina na cancellation, let's say, of mga documents, they can do it en masse. If matuloy itong bill ito, maisabatas to, parang a group of,
Correct.
applicants, mga ganon, pwede
Yes.
nilang i-cancel ganon lang.
Yes. So, for example, you all belong to a particular program. There's a proposed measure. Tapos kinancel nga nila yung isang program na hypothetical, for example. naka-benefit kayo from an open work permit because gumawa nga ng temporary public policy for that, di ba? Pwedeng i-cancel ng government yun kung gugustuhin nila. Kasi right now, wala silang power to do that. So pansinin ninyo, kapag nagkaroon ng error paminsan sa issuance ng work permit na hindi ka naman dapat nakatanggap ng open work permit. Kasi may mga na-encounter ako na cases na hindi naman talaga sila dapat eligible for a PGWP pero nakakuha sila for some reason. It's likely an administrative error. In an instant, pwedeng i-cancel yan ng IRCC or ng CBSA kung sino man yung first point of interaction mo. And they can do this en masse, for example.
Yeah.
They'll just have to go through their files, diba?
Yeah. So why do you think are they suddenly coming out, or is it even sudden, but why are they coming out with these proposed policy changes? Ano ba ang sinasabi nila na overall goal nito? And why do you think it appears to me, parang kumaga it's too much. Why should people, or especially, I guess, immigrants, stand against these?
That's a very good and interesting question. So, yung sagot, I'm afraid, is not immigration-related per se, but rather global politics. Nasa konteksto tayo ng intense trade negotiations between the US and Canada. We also know, when we've heard reports, that Prime Minister Carney is in deep conversations, direct conversations with US President Donald Trump. So, I'm afraid that the border piece is just one chess piece on the giant board of negotiating the trade and economic and security relationship between the US and Canada. And I'm afraid that this might be a sacrificial pawn. Pero hindi naman lahat ng dama, di ba, na nakakain, halimbawa, ng rook or ng knight. So hindi natin alam kung ano mangyayari in the next few weeks. But from a perspective of trying to appease the current occupant of the White House and his alipores, kitang-kita natin na yung border bill na ito is a wonderful window dressing / bait na ginagamit nga ng government in order to get some concessions. Let's stay tuned. Bantayan natin ito. It passed second reading, I believe, sa House ata or sa Senate or sa House. So you can still write to your MPs, and I would appeal to those with senses. And if you mail your letter to your MP, whether you're a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident or temporary resident, you can voice your opinion if you're in Canada. Write to your local MPs, email ninyo, and kapag nilagay ninyong walang selyo yung sobre ninyo, FYI, from within Canada, libre ito. It will get delivered to your MP kahit walang bayad.
Yeah. Last question na lang ako, Lu. Some might say, Lu, baka naman you're overthinking it. Baka naman you're too worried na abusuhin itong authority na ibibigay sa IRCC, sa immigration, sakaling maipasa to. They will just go after really those who are maybe, trying to come in through fraudulent means, misrepresenting themselves. Why don't you believe them? Why don't you trust them to do that? Parang ganun. Baka ganun ang sabihin ng iba.
I love the devil's advocate question. I would also I will do a Hegelian move on you and turn it on its head. Pasensya na sa academic terminology. Baliktarin natin. Bakit kailangan nila ng extra powers kung meron na silang powers to actually do their job? Ang tanong dyan na subsidiary, bakit hindi effective yung tools na meron sa kanila? Ang sagot doon, kasi walang nasasampulan. Kulang tayo sa enforcement. And with all due respect to our enforcement bodies, I think it's also a question of resourcing them properly. In fact, that's quite supportive. Kasi hindi nasasampulan, if it is so profitable for a ghost consultant to make so much money by scamming people, for example, tas, yung penalties mo napakababa, walang jail time, hindi naman talaga pinoprosecute to the fullest extent of the law, abay, yung calculus mo dito, it's worth it. Kasi the risks, if you weigh it versus the benefits, grabe ang bigat ng benefits. Diba? So yun lang naman yung ano, from a behavioralist perspective, kung yung mga scammers, iniisip nila they can get away with it, they will scam. Diba?
Yeah. I agree. Sa totoo lang, I agree with Lou's point. That is, to me, also the better way of fixing yung mga loopholes na meron sa immigration system rather than what it appears to me in this bill is parang iba-iba yung inaatake nila. It's somewhat, for some, no? Parang rights nung immigrants ang medyo natatapakan.
As a final point there, enforce muna. Gamitin muna nila yung toolkit nila kasi hindi nila ginagamit eh.
Yeah, it's a bit too drastic nga naman ito. But anyway, this is part 1 of our discussion sa border security bill. Panoorin niyo po yung part 2 kung gusto niyo malaman how this impacts naman yung refugee program. Okay, thanks Lou, immigration lawyer Dangsalan. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!